Okay, so we can now continue for the LookDev. Well, actually, yes, we were going to generate the TOPS network to do more testing. Okay, so we're going to just use the wedging feature of the top network at the moment. So let's drop down a top network. Then we're going to go and name it actually properly. Bake buildings. Okay, so we dive inside. Just gonna use 2 nodes. We're not gonna import the geometry here. We're just gonna put a wedge here first, and we're gonna define our override parameters. So right now, let's say I want 10 variations. So let's go 10. And we click on this plus to get another option what we want to override. Just also turn on export the environment and override the target parameter on work item selection. So now what I want to override is a parameter. So we have to find the path to our parameter here. So right now we just want to change the building, which is split models. So if I press P, I'll get the attribute name, which is building_ID. So let's just carry this guy here. So that's the address to the node, but then we need to go slash and then put the attribute ID, which was building ID as it stands here. So this is going to, right now it says it's 2, then it's going to change by itself. So we want integer, and we are going to set it from range. So it's from 0 to 10. That's our integer, which is going to, because like here we can change the wedge count, but then here we can define, so if it was a float, like, but we have only like integers now, building 1, building 2, but let's say we were simulating a turbulence or something, so it could like 0, I want to test 0.5, 0.7, whatever, and then it takes this number and divides it on how many you want it to do. So now it's 0 to 10, which is exactly what we want. Let's go back inside here, and I want and write out these buildings to a certain directory. So I want to now drop geometry output. I'm just going to hook it up here, and then let's unpin this. So then here we need to put what we want to be cooked finally, which is out buildings, and then we're gonna find the path where it is where these buildings to be written out. So I'm gonna copy it from my other scene, and I'm gonna explain how. So the wedge index is obviously the wedge, currently wedged value, and then change this, don't change that. It's gonna create the directories as it should, and then it's gonna go like wedge1 underscore wedge index dot bgo dot sc. So it's gonna be like under this folder, it's gonna be like building 1, building 2. If you want, like, you can put a little name here, maybe building 1, building 2. But that's not what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go. It's gonna just write 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dot bgo dot sc. So after that, I want to be able to load these buildings for visualization. I think there is one thing that we need to set up, is that because all of our buildings right now are in the world center, and then we want to rescatter them to certain locations, right? So in order to do that, I think we need to pull in some points where is, like, I guess we can do that right after maybe. It's just that we need to turn on the terrain, get some random locations, random points, which we can do right now actually. Waiting for the terrain to load. But as I have mentioned before, it's still loading. This geometry is the one that we use for scattering, but what we're gonna render is this one. So we get some empty spaces. We just use those kind of like extrusions for scattering our main building shapes. Okay, so the terrain is here. Then we can create another location here. Just under here, we're gonna call it buildings. Buildings. And I'm going to create a geometry node. I'm going to call it scatter and preview. Scatter and preview. And in here, I'm going to drop a grid. Let's go ghost so we see what we're looking at. And it should be somewhere in the center. Let's just make this bigger. I'm just going to unpin this. Let's make it bigger, really big actually. Okay, something like this. I suppose that should do. And then obviously, I mean, we can just extrude this shape and then cut these out, the areas that stays outside in a bit more sophisticated way, but we're not gonna do that because it's just a landscape actually. I'm just gonna select some of these that they stand out. We can go a bit more, I guess, just to get a bit better coverage. And then just use the lasso tool. To cut what we don't need. Well, I guess we can do a little better job. Okay, revert it. Okay, so now I can scatter some points. In my current version, I have 30 buildings. And I would like to even space them out a bit more even. So I'm gonna increase the max relax radius to some really high number. And so now the points are pretty much evenly separated. They have the equal amount of distance in between each other, roughly. So now, now I think we can bake the buildings for now. So we have something to load back onto. Okay. So we go in here. Let's save. Let's also open this location so we can see that our buildings are generated. Oh, I think there's one more thing we need to do. We need to go back inside the city source. I believe this is, no, it just overrides. That's fine. We don't need to link it. Where is my folder? So there's nothing yet. Let's leave this here. And let's right click on this. Did I save? Let's save as go. And then right click here and then go cook selected node. So this should now work. Oh, there's one thing that I should have mentioned as well. Actually, I'm gonna kill it. It's a little bit about the cancel cooking. It's here. Cancel current cook. Delete all results. Delete all. Okay. Delete all results. So there's a few things we need to work on the local scheduler. Some of you may know that previously I have a tool that I've been using that that I wrote just pretty much just to do something very similar to what the wedging system does in Houdini. I have this not in this scene. I removed it. I'm gonna, okay, I've been using it. I don't have it anymore. I'm gonna show you then. So basically I wrote a little tool that wedges, I called it the heighten wedger. If you're interested, you can just go in here and download it and see how it works. It basically says I'm gonna launch 8 tasks. Let's say I have, but in batches of 3. So it allows you to run a simulation or caching, but more than one simultaneously on a single machine, because I know that this is also very much dependent on your RAM and how computationally expensive what you're trying to do is. So if I go here, I have like some memory to spend, so which means that I don't have to process all these buildings one at a time. I can go into the this has changed now, maximum CPUs you use, all CPU except one. These settings have changed, so but I want to change these values. So first of all, my CPU has 32 cores. I want to use 30 of them, and I want to run 5 at a time. As long as I don't hit the memory, because a lot of nodes here are not very well multi-threaded, but if I run 5 of these at a time, I'm going to tax my CPU, so I'm going to get the most out of it, pretty much. So that's one of the good things about the heighten wedger, or the tops. So let's do it again. Actually, let's load the top task graph table. It's gonna give us some more information. So I'm gonna go now, cook selected. It's gonna create all these jobs and it's gonna run them at the same time. So it's gonna launch Houdini in the background, and then it should start writing geometry. So as you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I guess they say 6, but it should be 5. So right now, I guess it's launching files in the background. Houdini is in the background, which we can observe from here. Now the CPU is getting taxed, which is doing the same thing as my tool was doing. It just launches a Houdini with a heighten and then just changes a parameter and just runs it. And if you're interested in what it's doing, we can actually have a little look at it. Oh, couldn't copy it. Well, we can go into this folder and then see what it's doing, pretty much. Probably still cooking. So I'm gonna pause my video so we don't have to wait. I'm gonna get back to it once the cooking is done. Okay, so it is finished now. Basically, here are the times it took, and it took around, since from the folder creation all the way till the end, around 5 minutes to get all these buildings. So then let's observe what we made. Before, we don't have to calculate it anymore because it's changing the parameter. We could have canceled that actually, because that's, I think, one of the things that is the override target parameter on work item selection. So this is actually changing the value, so we can disable that so it doesn't do it. I think that's the one. Remember watching, let's do a mouse over. Yeah, so it does kind of change the attribute on the fly, so we don't, so then because it's not baked there, it just tries to show you what the output will be. That should be that, and then okay, let's go in here now. So let's do a little test of what we made to see if it actually worked out. So I'm gonna copy this. I know the files are here, they have different size, so the wedging must have worked. So let's call these load buildings. Load buildings. Buildings, let's paste the path here. What I want to change though is I want to be able to change this on the fly because I have 9 of them. So then I am gonna just create a little parameter here It's an integer. Drag and drop it here. Say ID, building ID. Copy paste, apply. Then just right click, copy this parameter, and then swap this guy. Okay, and then if I do that and turn the auto update on, I should get my buildings with the slider. It should be different buildings. Seems to be working just fine. Okay, so this does happen. I think it's like a super close boolean not working really well. Just gonna check the other one. Oh, that's a nice one. That's a pretty building. Let's just keep checking the other versions. Okay, so we only have one bad seed, which I'm gonna fix it right now. Remember, not everything has to be procedural. I mean, we got 5 buildings for free, pretty much. So let's just, I believe this is packed, so we need to unpack it. Pass the path and the cluster ID, I guess, and then we should have the path here, so we can use the path to repack them again. And then I have access now to the geometry, so I can actually select this part. Yeah. Hopefully now if I mouse over and then space, okay, so I didn't delete everything because it's not focusing well. So let's do this. Let's select this again. Focus on our build. Okay. We need to focus on our building. So where is it? There. Okay, so we can do this. I guess this is gonna take a little longer. It's a tough cookie. Okay, how about we select it by polygon only. Let's try again. Or we can just do it. I'm gonna give it a bit of try. Okay. Well, cool. So this was number 3. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna get this path, copy. Well, we need to pack back again. Sorry, my bad. Pack by path. And then make sure you put back the here's the path attribute. There was one more. Path attribute. We lost something. Exterior lights. Adds building office lights. Adds building office lights. Exterior lights. What was the exterior light? That's strange. Maybe there's no exterior lights in this building. I guess not. Okay. Well, that's fine. So that's the viewport issue again. So if I close this and then scene view, I'm going to see it properly. So we copied this path. I'm just going to overwrite the output to this little fix. Yes, overwrite please. And if I reload it, it's fixed. Okay. So we have now 10 buildings. You know, we can do more. You can just took like 5 minutes for my machine. I have a little beefy machine, but that's fine. Now the next thing we're gonna do is the LookDev. So for us to do our LookDev, I'm gonna actually pull this down a little bit. Oh, wait, actually we can do the random scatter first as well. So let's go in here. So at least we can have a little sneak peek of our city. So I'm gonna do an attribute wrangle here because I have my points. So now using the points, I want to create a random scatter. So for that to work, I can just create a random ID called rand, integer random. It's an integer because random splits out. Okay, I should construct that from the beginning. So I want a random point number, based on point number, right? And this returns me. It's only going to return me 1 or 0 because this is supposed to work as a float. So but that's not what I want. I need to refit this to the total number of buildings I have. So then I can use the fit expression, fit. Now I know that this returns 0 to 1, and what I want is basically what I have in this folder. 0 to 9. And I can go 0 to 9. Close as well. Fit random. Am I missing a parentheses? 1, 2. Is it a bracing error? No, it should work. What am I doing wrong? Fit random point number 0 to 1. 0.9. No, 0 to 1 and 0 to 10. Okay. So yeah, this is still a integer. So then I'm gonna go int. It's gonna convert it to integer. And in the end, I want an integer as well. So that's gonna give me 0 to 9 value, random values per point. Okay. Now I am going, so let's give this a name, RS buildings. Let's give this a name. So in order for us to load back this in, the fastest way possible is that we need to construct using an attribute called instance file, using the function called sprintf, where we can copy paste our, I think it's still here, yes. So this is a string. But I want to replace this last number with an attribute, and that's why I'm using sprintf. Therefore I can say it's an integer, so %i, not typing, %i, and then I close the string and I go I at rand. So wherever it sees a %i, it's gonna replace it with the point attribute value. So if I go here, expand this all the way, I'm gonna see that 4 is replaced by this attribute, 0 and this and that. So now I think since the early versions, this is okay, it's loading something. Yeah, so now Houdini can automatically display if there's an instance file attribute. It's just gonna load whatever you need to do. So like if basically now if we think this density is not good enough, we just have to scatter more points. Let's go 50. And when you get out, so when you get out, the instancing works. If you want instancing to be visible inside as well, what we can do is you can drop in an instance swap and just change this to instance file because that's our name, and then if you hook it up here, it's gonna load them inside as well. And now we have more points, and sometimes you'll get these bounding boxes there, and that's, you can change that based on your hardware strength. I think it's somewhere here. Optimize maybe. distance based path geometrical, and yeah, so you can, so mine is like capped at 40 million. If I go 100 million, if I got 10 million, you know, I get more bucks. If I got 100 million, everything will show up, which I think my computer can handle fine. But we're gonna leave it here and then go outside. And okay, so we have our scatter city, although they'll just render gray, and they're very low. Okay, so let's, yeah, because they're scattered from the centroid, so we need to move them up, I guess. So let's just move them up. Minus 100, minus 100, minus 50. Yeah, I guess that will do. We can just penetrate a little bit. Okay, so let's go back here. All right, so we have our very basic city. Some in, some out. Remember, we're not scattering really accurate, but that was exactly the same case in my scene that you watched as well. It's like we're not going to spend very much time on the accuracy of this. It's fairly easy to adjust, and I think you should be able to now even adjust it accordingly if, from the things we learned. Like we can literally get the bounding boxes of these objects and then just create a nice shape out of them for the landscape. One thing though I did before is that because we have some simulations that associated with this, I did create a separate VGO for the bounding boxes of this coming straight from here. So each one of these I wrote out as well, and that we can do as well now. I think I did it in the same scene. And there's only 10 of them, so what I can do is, I don't think I'll generate a TOPS network for this, but what I can do is, because my files go from 0 to 9, so I can change the frame range to 0, starting from 0. Okay, and then I can possibly do another path here, not to break my condition. So I'm just gonna go down here and let's say bounding boxes, now out, bounds, let's say out, bounds. Okay, and just put a file cache here, and then let's bring our path here so we're not so far up. It's not the path of the file. Let's go here, let's copy that path we have, copy this, go back in here. It's in case you want to visualize something more easier and then maybe use them for collision detection, or just like a fast way to animate our ships in case it's slow. So let's go in here, let's put this path here. Now I'm going to change this frame range to 0 to 9, and then I'm gonna rename this $F, and then instead of GeoCityWalls wedge, I'm gonna say CityWalls, maybe wedge 1. Let's call this, well, yeah, we should have gave it a bit better name. Let's call this wedge 2 then, and these are going to be our bounds. Okay, and all I have to do now is to go here and type $F. So basically that's going to change the building every time I change the frame. So I'm just telling you to calculate for 9 frames into this folder, and now it's going to just switch, remove inside, write out the proxy, switch, remove inside, write out the proxy. And that's going to be our proxy mesh, and now that's done. So we can go in here and then ideally create another attribute create. No, not yeah, well, we just gotta go like this, another path, and then call it RS Buildings B box. Well, not really B box, but well, it is like a bounding box. It's not a bounding box, but it's like a proxy. So let's give it a good name here, right? Proxy. And we just said this is gonna be 2 instead of 1. And if you go outside now, is it loading the correct cache? Did I change the name? Wedge 2, right? Yeah, so let's just check these ones. Okay, so it's a lot smaller, so I guess we can hook this up here. Okay, so now we have our proxies and corresponding. Is it oriented? It is. Just the visualizer here is failing to show it properly. Oh, but no, it's not. There's a strange issue here. Some are matching, some are not matching. Okay, we'll have to look into this once we get there, because it's not. It's weird. Why is not matching? Is it because of the orient? Okay. Some are aligned, some are not aligned. Oh, maybe it's the way top generated the files. Some are a match, some are a mismatch. Like I think this guy's a match. This 2 is a match. Yeah, but that's not there. The triangle is a match, but that looks wrong. Okay. Well, we'll dive deeper into this to see. Maybe I have a newer version now. It's producing some other result, which I'm not so sure. Okay, so let's go now to our LookDev, which we don't need this guy anymore. We're gonna do a little LookDev. Okay, so let's pull this down like we did before, and let's create a new network. Let's call it LookDev. And let's go in and create a new network called Building Test. Okay, let's dive inside. Now I want to load my buildings, obviously, so I go File and load my buildings. And I actually want this to stay at $F because I'm gonna render 9 frames out of this, so 0 to 9, and every time I do I just have to change the frame to switch a building pretty much. That's just convenient. Okay, so now let's where's our names are here, so we need to probably create a nice camera that overlooks at this place, and we'll call this a test camera. So we're gonna create another, because we're gonna create a lot of cameras, so let's create a box here. Let's call this, oops, cameras. This is a LookDev cam, building LookDev cam, building LookDev camera. Okay, so we're looking at it. So like I mentioned, I'm going to use Redshift for this, but it's just because it's convenient, and I think it's fast, so you can download a trial or just pretty much replicate the same steps with Mantra or RenderMan as you wish, so it shouldn't be a big difference. So now we just need to, I mean, obviously now if we just, I guess we should probably create our LookDev lights as well. We can, okay, I'm gonna go to Redshift, and I'm just gonna create a, because we are working with a night scene, so it's probably ideal if you create a little dark scene. So I'm just gonna create a light sun, but then probably just gonna bring my well, I guess I'm gonna actually put a proper light. It's not the portal, I just need a sun. Okay, so we have a sun. So if I hit run, I'm gonna save because sometimes it's finicky. utilize the camera. Okay, our very first render. I don't want that background to be that color, so we don't need this camera anymore. Let's go here as well. Sun shader. I don't enable to viewport. There's a okay. This one, I guess. Out. Okay. There's no GI or anything at the moment. There's no textures. There's no shaders. So we should now split. Remember we did the. Let's call this load buildings. Let's go. Remember we split things like office lights, ads, exterior lights. So that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna do a blast. So that's gonna be, let's say 0, non-selected. So that's gonna end up being building. And then we're gonna go, let's say in building. Let's create another one. Switch that to 1, and that's the office lights. In office lights. And then let's create another one, switch that to 2, that's the ads. In ads, let's create another one, and that's the external lights. So in external lights. Okay, so let's start shading. We have our building here, still a packed object, so we're gonna unpack it. And then it's going to reveal us ID concrete, ID emissive, ID floor, ID frame, ID glass, ID inner walls, ID metal. So if you want to double check that these are still correct, we can do another blast. Say I want to see the concrete only, so these are the concrete, and then if I want to see the emissive, that's the top parts, that the radio towers, that as we decided. If I want the glass, it's just the glass, etc. But at this stage, we don't need to separate out. Seems like we missed a group to delete. But all we need is now pretty much create a material network. And assign our materials. So because I want to keep that information here, I'm going to split this window. And okay, where is this? Go look, and I'm gonna go to shop network. I think the latest version of Redshift does support the material network, but right now that's not what I'm gonna do. So we are gonna create materials for this. RS material. We're gonna create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So, and then they're going to be named the same, ID concrete, RS, I'm going to leave them as well, RS ID concrete. ID glass, ID metal, what else do we have? ID emissive, ID floor, ID frame, ID emissive, ID floor, ID inner walls, anything else, and ID frame. So now we're going to assign these to them. So I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So first one is ID concrete. ID concrete goes to ID concrete. Second one, ID emissive goes to ID emissive. I think I'm going to replace that with another shader actually. Third one goes to ID floor 1 with ID floor. We missed the naming there a little bit. ID frame, ID frame, ID glass, ID glass, ID inner walls, ID inner walls, and finally ID metal with ID metal. Okay, I'm just trying to see if I did any custom work on this, but I think not at this stage. Okay, now what we can do is, I think we can now just launch a, let's go here, out. I think we can zoom in a little bit after. I think we can now just save it, open a progressive renderer, and actually play with our shaders. Okay, so let's say I want glass to be glass. So we can select the glass here and then just go glass, and that should update. So we have glass. ID metal. We can say, I don't know, aluminum. And then ID frame, ID, for example, let's make the metal color a bit different. I don't know, maybe red, just to see that if it's working. Well, I guess we're not seeing it at the moment. Let's make inner walls. We're missing one. These are exterior walls. How do we name them? Object. Out antennas, exterior lights, out columns, out inner walls. ID inner walls. Okay. Oh no, that's not what I'm looking for. Sorry, I was looking for this guy here. And we named them how? Out panels. Oh, we didn't name these. Where did they go? Out panels. Okay. Out panels goes to here. Well, what about the attribute name? Okay, let's close this. I think we forgot to name these guys. Give them an attribute for a material, because that's mostly what we see outside. So that's why it's important to do your checks before you bake out your buildings. Keep going, keep going. And nope, I didn't. Okay, my bad. So now let's create one more material called RS ID frame, RS panels, ID panels, and then I need to go here and create a new material called panels, which we can fetch from here, I guess. And let's call this ID panels. And well, told us we'll just use the same thing basically. So let's select this guy, let it cook, make sure that we have the ID panels finally. So then if I let the rest cook in here, let's go here. Okay, I'm just gonna do that just to check, so I don't have to cook the rest for now. And then go here, I'm gonna have ID panels. Good. Let's connect it back. Okay, and I'm gonna cancel this now. I'm gonna override over my files because I need those. City source. So I have to go back in here, probably save again, kick it off again. Oh, I think I need to dirty them all first. All, okay, dirty all. And then, I don't know if you need to overwrite them, but I guess we can do. Oh, it just deletes them anyway. Yeah, that's fine. So then right click again, cook selected nodes. It's gonna cook for another 5 minutes, and then we'll get back to the video again. So pausing now. Okay, we're back again. The recaching is finished, so we're gonna go back to where we left off. Building test, okay. And now let's kick off another render, I guess. Oh well, we need to assign the ID panels to this guy, so one more here. Hey, now this became one. ID, well, I'm gonna reload it, I guess. Reload. And now we show ID panels. Yes, we do. So let's select ID panel and then the ID panels also from here, and let's give it, I don't know, copper. Needs to have some reflection, but let's try anyway. Okay, calculate, render. Okay, so our materials are picking up, that's nice. Let's go back to our shops. We didn't change ID floor yet, so maybe our floors are, I don't know, made out of platinum. That's, I need to probably get the same values as I used. So for ID floor, I use plastic, I guess, so it doesn't reflect so much. I use the roughness of 0.4, but I mean, this part is not really important because it's really about how you wanted to make it, to be honest. So then I guess with inner walls we can select something. Okay, we can get closer actually. And let's go ID floor, ID glass. We can give them a little tint maybe. Let's try tinted glass. Let's go glass, okay. ID concrete, let's give it a, these were the columns I think. Let's give them a white color. White, a bit reflective, a bit more roughness. And we did the glass, we did the metal, we did the frame. Let's give, I think these were the frames, so let's give them a different color maybe. Let's try gold. Now it's becoming very metallic. Let's go platinum. Yeah, well, right now we have a black environment, so obviously it's not fetching anything, but that's fine. Let's give them more roughness. Okay. With the ID panels, ID inner walls. Inner walls, let's go. Well, these are all pending. We need to really do a proper look there, but this is all, like I said, it's optional. We can go for inner walls. Say go plastic. Maybe let's go, I don't know, blue, just to give it a bit more different color. Okay. So obviously nothing is baked here. We don't have any interior lights now, so that's what we can do at the moment. Just to give a bit more light in there. What was I using? Inner walls, inner frame, ID metal. Oh, with the we need to do the emissive part, so we get some light there. ID emissive. So I'm going to replace this one with a different Redshift material, which is called incandescent. It's a bit more simple. And then I need to go here and find it and replace it. Which is already correct. So then if I hit render, get some lights there, that's fine. Okay, so it's working too. Now some internal lighting, which is called the office lights. which means we need to generate office slides. Where is my model? 1 second, please. External lights, office slides. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to create another geometry here. I'm going to call it office lights. Since we're using a shader, actually, I think we can just do it inside. Yeah, it's going to be cleaner. Where was it? Externalize office lights. Yes. So we have these guys, right? We can unpack them. Well, actually, they are boxes already, but I think I was using a grid. Now, well, we can try what we have. So we're gonna randomize these colors a little bit. Oh, I should have moved the camera. Okay. So let's drop in an attribute warp or a point warp. Let's call it light randomize. Okay, let's dive inside. So based on the position, I want to create a random value. So I'm gonna get 2 random values. Random. The first one I wanted to output a 1D output. Second one I wanted to output a 3D output. So it's gonna create a vector. It's gonna create a float, not 3D color. Sorry. The type is important. Okay, so then I'm going to create a ramp. So I can use this float value to use different colors. I'm gonna name this to light distro. These are coming from my other scenes, but I guess that doesn't really matter. And then I'm gonna multiply this with a value that I'm gonna export as a light multiplier. So that's gonna be named light multiplier. Just paste and paste. And then I'm gonna export this attribute as another attribute that Redshift understands called light intensity. Light intensity. And then let's plug this in here. Okay, so that's the intensity, and now we're gonna do color. So let's pull this down a little bit more. Let's do another ramp. And let's say this is gonna be what was it? Color. Actually, I think this could be a float too. I don't think it really matters. And then I'm gonna put a color correction node because it's a bit easier to deal with after. And then I'm going to export this as light color, and it needs to be a vector. We're gonna observe the values here, light color, so that's fine because it's coming. Because if I do like that, it's going to break the connection. But or we can do just like this, and then it's going to work. And then I also want to see this on my screen, so I put it here. Okay. Well, right now we didn't unpack it, so we did unpack, so it works per box. Okay, so here's one problem here. That's gonna generate a different color per point, so I don't want that. I want this to be a single color, right? So I think we can do a few ways. We can get the size of that box. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to remove this geometry, but I have their location anyway. I'm gonna add the delete, but keep the points. But that's gonna give me many particles, so maybe I should do an easier way to do it. Okay, well, how can I? Okay, I'm gonna do an assemble. It's gonna give me based on connectivity many points. So I have 990 lights. Then I'm gonna do an add, and now I can get rid of the, now it's just gonna create a point in the centroid. So then I can copy this to points, copy to points, create a new box, points go here, box go there. We were, I think, this much, so let's just go small. I think that was the size approximately. Yeah, that's gonna do. Okay, now this should inherit the CD attribute and everything coming from here. Yeah, so now we can go here and just give these some different values just to randomize. So that is the light strength. Just gonna go like that. Maybe a little bright there. And then here maybe dark. Just creating some randomization. And then for colors, I'm just gonna go crazy. I'm gonna fetch that. I'm gonna fetch that. Let's go that. And then green, and then orange, white. But what I want is that I want to have a bit more control over these colors after I randomize it. So I'm gonna promote all these guys so I can change the values a bit easier. And in case you missed it, the way you do it is you go on a point and then you go, well, that's the output. You right click and then you go promote parameter. Okay, now we can go back to our camera. We need to apply our shader, which is another shader which we need to create. Office emission lights. Okay, there's other thing we can do. No, but this should do the trick. I should do the trick, or should be I think over the shaders there's a better way to do it, but I'm gonna try both now. So these are my lights. They all have different colors, and if I don't like the colors, I can desaturate them a bit if it's too colorful, right? So they're kind of like not that colorful, not as saturated. After all, they're like you don't want your house to be super colorful. So then we're gonna go to the shop network again. So these are our house ones. I'm gonna create another ID emissive. ID emissive, and we're gonna call this office lights. ID office lights, and let's bring this guy down a little bit more because now we need to merge them. And let's put a material here, and because that's the only one in this chain, we just select office lights, and then we can merge these. So we have the lights in there as well now. If we get close, I think we can see them. Well, it's hard to see, but they have to be there. Okay, let's go back to our camera. So now we need to play with our values here. I think that we can use, we need to break the, we need to say allow editing of contents, because I want the color to drive the color, temperature to drive the temperature. But I think because it works for those parameters works for the lights, but for if you were instancing lights, but for geo lights, for shader lights, we need to use RS. Where is it? RS store color. No, it's under somewhere here. RS color user data. So it's gonna go CD, or I can just actually write that attribute name, which is light color. Light color, and then I want the intensity to be driven by. This is not a data, it's a scalar, so RS scalar. RS scalar user data, so that's a float, and that's called light intensity. Oh, we need to fix that. Intensity is called light intensity. and then we go up. So we need to fix that because it's outputting not what we want. Okay, so its light intensity is 0. Why is it 0? Because our light multiplier is currently at 0. So let's go up 1. So create some random value. So now we just have to stay here and play with our values. We can use this one as well, but this should be connected now to our attribute anyway. Color is connected to our attribute as well. So let's see what's gonna happen once we hit render. Is anything gonna change? Maybe we need to crank up the values, I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. I can't really see something changing. Okay, let's dig in deeper. Let's try changing the value from the shader. Okay, I'm gonna try turning on the GI to see if there's any loud light bouncing. Actually, I just want to render this first. Okay, so they're lit. Okay, but because they're geometry lights, we need the bounce to be on. That's correct. I think that's the problem. So we need to go Redshift, global illumination, brute force. And did we get some light in there? I'm not sure. Let's have a look at this again. Okay, I'm going to try my other shader to see if it's somehow related. Actually, I'm just going to copy the shader from my other scene, which is a very similar one. It's just a manual, and there's a noise I'm adding manually, but I'm still going to use the same thing. So I'm just going to change this to RS Redshift Office Emission Lights. But I believe for this to work, I need a UV because I'm using a RS noise, and it will ask for UV. So maybe it's because they're packed. They're packed now. So let's create a UV transform just from top down, pretty much, just to create some variation. Okay, let me try that again. Oh, that's not gonna work yet. So it needs to be here. Because they're also, I think they have some more color variation right now. Yeah, I have some reds, so let's go here. Maybe it's the glass that is doing something wrong. Okay, I'm gonna blast the glass away to see if I'm actually getting any visibility. Let's get closer. Okay, maybe there's some light coming in. Let's try to boost that up, maybe. Nope, something is not working. Okay, we need to investigate a little bit more. Maybe it's in the geometry, that's why we're not seeing it. Maybe they're in the walls. I think they are in the walls. Okay, so okay, I'm going to move these guys down a bit more. Okay, let's try again. Where is my render view? Okay, so we have the lights now. It's just a bit dirty. So let's bring back the glass. Okay, so because it's working, I want to try my other shader again, which was RSID emissive, to see if it's going to make a difference. Yeah, but they're all same color, so I think I'm gonna use the other shader. RS office emission lights. Okay, close this. Let's take some distance back. I want to make sure that my glass is transparent enough, because I think it's blocking a lot of light, but no, it's not. Okay, let's just go 32. The IOR is 1.51, is it? Okay, so it has no color, there's no weight. Let's turn this light off to see how much our window lights are actually doing the work. So let's go with this, and then let's render, and then I'm gonna go back into the parameters to boost them up here. We can select the region to speed up the process. We are actually, I mean, it is now rendering slow, but we're actually going to do this only once. We want a bit more, less colorful lights, I think. Is there a color correct? Yes. I think I want less saturation. Still getting blue. That's because the lights are bouncing. Okay, let's do this here so we can use it. Let's focus on a little section so it renders a bit faster. There's this guy here. Okay, so now all the illumination here is happening because of inside lights. And everything else pretty much lit by GI only, so I think we are getting somewhere out. So let's go, actually by default I think this is quite high, so we can go 4 transparency and 2 by 2 by 4, and I'm gonna do twice the brute force, so this should resolve a bit faster and better. Okay, let's get a bit closer. Okay, so that's good amount of GI. Obviously, when we want to bake things, we want to bake what's inside and almost not what outside, because that's gonna be we want outside of the buildings to be lit by external elements as well. But we can share that in the shader, like we can say 50% take it from outside, 50% use the emissive layer, and so on and so forth. Obviously, this is gonna need a bit more high-res resolution. So obviously our buildings are also outside very dark, so we're gonna need to put some external lights, as we have already prepared here. Building test, so we can go another here, external lights. We are gonna do the same with the external lights. Yeah. So I'm gonna pretty much copy paste this section for the external lights. And this is gonna be like the same shader. Well, actually it would be better maybe if we actually instance lights for the external light, because they're not that many. How many are they? They are 40 of them. Well, it's not very little as well. Let's see what the result is first. This one is going to need a different shader because we're gonna change the values. So Redshift of yes, Redshift external lights. And I think these could be bigger. I don't see them. Oh, because they were already points? Yes, so we don't need to do that part. Let's look from the camera. Let's assign the new shader, external lights, and let's hit render. Is it the wrong camera? Render again. There's a little section here. I'm not sure where it was go. Okay, so let's go like that. Okay, so yeah, for outside we need to use light instancing because we don't want these lights to be visible. So for that to work, we're gonna disconnect this guy from here. We're still gonna use these points from here. And then we're gonna delete this part. I'm gonna say now instance lights, and then we need to go outside, create an instance of external lights, and then we create an RS, I guess area light would define here RS light. It just needs to be in the center, I guess. RS just light to instance external light. So then this goes in here. We select the instance object, we drop the object to instance, then we can go under the Redshift, and then I believe this is instancing Redshift instances. Instance Houdini competitor, that's fine. Use common shader. We need to separate that because it needs, we want different colors per instance, etc. And then I need to dive inside. Object merge those point clouds in here. And now I believe if I hit render, it should work. Then we need to play with these values. Right now, because it's a point light, I think it's an area light, that's fine. We can make it a sphere, suppose. The size is, let's go big first, so if we know that it's gonna work, it's gonna just overblow and it's gonna work. And I don't want that now. Hit render. Okay, so our lights are there, but our building is not there yet because this is how we want to, what we want to render. Then we can turn off those lights to be not in the primary. So now we have some lights going on. Obviously it's too big. Let's go back to the light. And I don't want that to be visible. I wonder if I need to restart the render for that. Yeah, okay. Shader is here. I guess it's too much now, and they're too big anyway, so we're gonna go like, I don't know, 4, 4, 4, maybe 1, 1, 1. Bidirectional, I guess. Maybe let's try different settings. Rectangle. That's probably not gonna make a difference. Let's bring this intensity down. It's still too much, or okay, for instances we need to, I guess, restart the renders. Now it's going to be too bright, too dark. Yeah. Let's go 10. Restart. Okay, we got some more. Let's select the external light. Let's go here. Maybe make them a bit bigger again. Let's hit render again. So just we get some more lights out of it. Well, yes, we don't really have them some source, but ideally, of course, if I was working for an actual movie, I would probably for 10 buildings I would actually hand place these lights, you know, like somewhere around here to make a little bit of like a diagonal shape. So I think that would be a bit more interesting. I think it's still a bit too strong, and I think the light color attribute is not picking up. That's what I would like to see. Why not? I have it here, light underscore color light intensity. So let's select this instance, Redshift instances. Use point was not, this should have worked. Override process instance up level, override instance file, proxy materials from C materials. Let's try this one. That should have worked, which we'll have to get back to, I guess. No, not sure. Okay, let's try to get a bit closer to see if we're overblown or anything. Yeah, we're a bit too bright. We just want some light visible, but not as much. So just go in here, I guess, select our light, bring the exposure down. Let's try again. Maybe give them a little blue, sci-fi blue as well. Okay, I'm gonna close this now. I'm just gonna let this cook a little bit more. So let's just go here, and maybe we just change the frame and render another building. Okay, that's a bit more interesting. Let's switch the frame and render another building. Okay, that's cool. There was a favorite line of mine. That was, which one was it? This one, I think. Yeah, this one is cool because it has this corridor. We're definitely gonna fly through here. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for this to resolve rendering a little bit so we can actually see what it's gonna render. So I'm gonna pause the video and do a render, and then we can have a look. Okay, so here is the one frame render of our building with all the lights. It's a bit noisy because it's a bit because we need to do some optimizations, but so that will be the end of this video. Next thing is going to be that we will optimize these values a little bit so we have more clean renders, and then we're gonna bake these out. Thank you for watching.